Hello, and welcome to another episode of 3 and 5, an educational series for hospital executives brought to you by CompleteRx. I'm your host, Senior Marketing Specialist Rachel Rum. In today's episode, we sit down with CompleteRx Regional Vice President Terry Copeland to discuss hospital retail pharmacies and the three areas that can have a major impact on increasing prescription volumes and traffic to help boost your bottom line. Well, welcome, Terry. Thanks for joining us in today's episode.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rachel. I am excited to talk to you about outpatient pharmacy.
Absolutely. So today, as you mentioned, we're talking about hospital retail pharmacies and the three areas that you have deemed to have the highest impact on increasing revenue generation. Can you quickly mention what those three areas are?
Yeah, I think in years of dealing with these different types of hospital-based pharmacies, I think location, marketing, and service are really the top three areas. There are obviously others, but if you think about the ones that are going to make the impact on whether it's successful or not, I think those three are the big ones.
Awesome. So let's talk about location first. I'm assuming that most hospitals and health systems that do have a retail pharmacy already established, they can't really move their location. So what can organizations do to combat issues that they may be having with their location?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if they are building out a brand new one, I think one of the first things that they ought to look at is where you get the most foot traffic. But to your point, we found a lot of hospitals that have already gone down this track and already have a location, and they may be in the perfect location, but
Mhm.
several of them don't have the perfect location. And there are different ways you can overcome that barrier, and a lot of it is around service. It's around doing like meds to beds type delivery services, and
Mhm.
then just communication and the marketing. So, I know I said the third bullet point was around service, but service can help overcome location challenges.
Definitely. So let's get into service and, talk about that and how can hospital pharmacies adapt or what services can they provide or offer in order to enhance that part of it?
Yeah, definitely. One of them I mentioned, and I think this is something that probably 5 or 10 years ago really started to take track with meds to beds programs,
Hmm.
to where if you have day surgery or you have patients um, that are being discharged from inpatient stays, that they can have the meds delivered directly to their bed, and it saves them a trip on the way, or saves them a stop on the way home to get
Hmm.
those meds filled. So that's a service that is unique, and kind of differentiates a hospital-based retail pharmacy from, say, like a community-based, whether it's one of the big box stores, or even an independent community-based. I think the meds to beds is a good program. I will tell you one that kind of came up during COVID, which if you think during COVID, one of the things we saw in fast food restaurants is you would go and have or have your food delivered to your car. Well, we've
Right.
seen with several of our hospitals where they instituted a program where a patient could drive up a parking spot outside of the hospital. I was actually at a hospital yesterday that we have this, and they were talking about they're having patients come up and almost like have your meds delivered like you would have your food delivered. So
Sure.
those are some different ways and innovative ways to put service into making the patient experience better.
Right. So it sounds like really, kind of being aware of what the customer's needs are and just being open to adapting and getting creative and innovative with your solutions around that.
Exactly. And the one thing that we found is that each hospital is going to have different needs of their patient population and even
Hmm.
their employee populations to meet those service needs. And so
Sure.
it is listening to your customers. It's seeing what the needs of the community are, and then adapting your services rather than fitting a square peg into a round hole. How do you adapt?
Sure. So that's a good segue into kind of our last bullet, which is the communications or the marketing and promotions part. part of that. So let's talk about where are opportunities missed, or, how can marketing be improved in order to improve the revenue generation side?
Yeah, no, that's really good because I think there's an opportunity from the first interaction with the patient when they come into a health system. And
Mhm.
so what I've seen, a successful program of having at least the service introduced at registration and offered, and seeing if patients want to opt in at that point
Mhm.
upon registration helps. I think the other things that I've seen is having signage in like the ER waiting rooms, the surgery waiting rooms, reminding caregivers that this service is available. Because really, if you think about it, when a patient gets discharged and they're ready to go home, you've got a caregiver that's helping them. They've got to get them home, make sure they're comfortable, but then they've got to make sure they have their meds too. So if
Definitely.
they could get that and have that in hand and save one less stop on the way home, it just makes the patient experience, but the caregiver experience better as well.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, Terry, thank you so much for your time today and for your expertise and sharing that with us. I really appreciate it, and I think our audience is going to get a lot out of this episode for sure. So, thanks
Well,
again.
yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the time and would love to talk about it. It's a passion of mine.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, have a
All right.
good day.
You as well. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to this month's episode of 3 and 5. If you enjoyed the content, please give us a like or share, and don't forget to subscribe to our social channels to keep up with this series and much more content from CompleteRx.